Hey everyone, it's Colin, Prenger, the Everyday Pilot, and I have a little bit of a different video for you. Today I'm going to do a product review of the D2 Pilot Watch from Garmin. And I got this a few months ago, and I'm just going to tell you the general functions of it, the cost, and what kind of benefits you can get from this as a pilot. So yeah, let's get started. So really briefly, I want to discuss about the build quality of the watch. I really think this is a cool watch to use both in the plane and kind of as an everyday watch. It has nice black leather. It doesn't feel fake at all. It has kind of the white stitching along it, and it feels pretty beefy. It's not really that heavy of a watch, and the thickness is, it's pretty thick because it has a lot of technology inside of it. But I'll show a little clip here next to my iPhone 5, kind of a comparison of the width of the watch. And yeah, I mean, it's a good looking watch. I think Garmin did a really nice job with the design of it, being able to use it as kind of an everyday watch and as well as a very functional pilot watch. Alright, so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the details of the watch and what is inside the watch, if you will. This is the home page of the watch. If you want to keep it like this, I keep it on the time. And you have either 12-hour or 24-hour time format. You can change that in the settings. And then you have your universal coordinated time at the bottom there, and you have your date on top. And you have your second hands kind of going around there. And in the settings page, you can kind of change the setup and how this looks. I think there's like 3 or 4 different ways this can be displayed, which is kind of cool. And you can see in the top left corner here, turn the light back on. If you see in the top left corner here, there's a little icon, looks like a little Star Wars thing. That means the GPS is turned on. With this watch, you can turn the GPS on and off. And when you turn it off, the battery in the watch lasts for 2 weeks, 3 weeks even. And then when the GPS is on, it's rated to 50 hours according to the manual. And the battery is rechargeable, so it comes with a charging cord you just plug straight into the wall. And it takes like an hour and a half to charge, and it lasts for a long time, so I'm pretty pleased with the battery life. So if we take the scrolling button up here, scroll to the next page. So this is our waypoint page. Now, I will say this, that in order to use the full extent of this watch, you have to have the Garmin Pilot app on your iPhone or iPad. I'm not entirely sure if they have it on Android yet. But what you can do, and I'll do a further review on the Garmin Pilot app, is you can take a flight plan from the application and you can import it onto the watch using Bluetooth. And I've used it and it works perfectly. I haven't had any issues with it, and it loads straight into the watch. And here you'll have a waypoint, whether it's input directly on the watch or from your flight plan, and it'll display your bearing, the distance to, your current track, and your estimated time en route. So that's the waypoint page. Now the next page is your nearest page, and the nearest airport to me right now is Centennial. And it'll have the same type of information there, your bearing to, the distance, your current track, and estimated time en route. Now you might be able to see these little hash marks jumping around here. And these hash marks always point in the direction of the nearest airport, and it also is kind of based on the orientation of your wrist. If you're on the time page with the GPS turned on, these hash marks will not be displayed. But in every other page, these hash marks are displayed, and I think it's kind of a neat feature. So that's the nearest page. Next page here is your instruments, and when I'm flying, I have this on 98% of the time, and it has your speed in knots, the altitude based on the barometer, which you can actually set in the watch here, and current heading, and it has your vertical speed. So that's kind of a cool little feature there, and again, hash marks are still there. And now here is where I think the Garmin Pilot, the D2 watch shines, is that it actually has a moving map here. And even if you don't have a flight plan, it'll still display your location, and you can zoom in and out. If you click the big red button, you can actually pan across the map, you can zoom in and out. But if you have a flight plan that's active and you've sucked it into the watch here, it'll actually show your flight path and the waypoints along the way. So again, this is one of the strongest points, I think, on the Garmin D2. Next page here is temperature and density altitude. Of course, this is affected by the barometric pressure, and that's, I think, the next page, but pretty basic here. It's just really good information to have. And here's your altimeter. You have your altimeter on top, and you can set the barometric pressure by pressing the big red button over here. Set the baro. and you scroll through and select the barometric pressure, and that's it. It's really easy to use. The interface, you can tell, is very simple and very intuitive in my opinion. Then you have a compass here, which is pretty handy if you lose your compass and all your compasses or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty basic there. And we're back to the time page. So those are the basic pages in the Garmin D2. And, you know, they're all the vital information if you have some sort of engine failure or you lose your PFD or MFD. This watch will provide you with the safety and the backups in order to get you back to your airport, and let's say if you're in the clouds or something like that. And there's a bunch of settings in this watch you can change and play with to set up the watch in kind of your need. But yeah, that's kind of the general gist of it. So the cost of this watch is actually lower than I expected it to be from a product like Garmin. This watch costs $300 or $400, and I got it from the My Pilot store. It was actually a birthday gift, but my parents got it from the My Pilot store. And $400, I guess, it's still a lot of money, but it's still not as much as some other watches out there. But for the benefits, the benefits you get from it that you can't put a price on, I think it's worth every penny for it. In conclusion, if you're an individual who is specifically looking for a pilot watch, there are several different brands out there on the market. I think one of them that I was looking at was Torgoen. And although it's a great watch, it's a great build of a watch, it doesn't do nearly the amount of function as the D2, making it the Garmin a bit more attractive in that regard in terms of price and versus what you get out of it. So in my conclusion and my recommendations, I would highly recommend the Garmin D2 watch, as it is a relatively affordable watch for what it does, and it gives you some great added benefits in the cockpit if you have failures and stuff like that. This would be a great asset to have in those situations like that. So if you have any further comments or even have any more detailed questions about the Garmin D2, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and all my social media links are down in the down bar as well. As always, we'll see you next time.